So I have our toaster apart. It's an Oster we've had for 20 some odd years. You can see I've already cleaned a bunch of the breadcrumbs with my, it's outside now. I took it outside and used the blower part of the vacuum to try to blow some of it out before I decided I was going to have to take it apart. And the reason I'm going to have to take it apart is because I have a wire that burned in two. So if I set this up, the wire, you can see the black spot right there. The wire went up right inside of there. And I thought, well, I can get this out if I take that screw out. But I still couldn't get it out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix it. But maybe if I can get this part out, and there's a wire that's also going to the other side of it. Well, you can see all the wires going up there. There's 1, 2, I think there's four wires for the 4 different posts up here. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 posts. And it seems like the wire that went to this last post is the one that burnt. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix it or not. I'm assuming there's nothing wrong with this circuit board or the components on it, that it's just that wire, which you can see got burnt pretty badly. Okay, so I have paused the video and I've taken a screenshot. And with this screenshot, I'm going to try to explain to you how this Oster toaster works when it's working. You saw the burnt wire, so it wasn't working because of that burnt wire. So you see written in blue there, lever to push down, and 2 arrows pointing towards that lever. So when you're going to make toast, you just put some bread in the toaster and you push that lever down. And if everything's working, the lever stays down. So you see written in red, Y-shaped plastic pushes inside post to contact outside post when lever is pushed down. So just imagine pushing that lever down, that Y-shaped piece of plastic goes down and it goes in between those 4 copper posts shown down below. And that Y part of it pushes the 2 inside posts out to make contact with the 2 outside posts. And that's what energizes the toaster. So whenever those 2 inside posts contact the 2 outside posts, it's just like turning on a light switch. It completes the circuit inside this toaster so that current goes to the heating element, and current would also go to a solenoid, which is an electromagnet. So you see written in black over on the left hand side, top latch, and an arrow pointing to that top latch. So that latch is connected to the lever. So when the lever is pushed down, that top latch goes down and it hooks onto the bottom latch. But it will only hook onto the bottom latch and stay down if there's current going to the solenoid, which is an electromagnet. And that electromagnet will hold that bottom latch forward in the position that it's kind of shown in right now. So when you push the lever down, that bottom latch swivels back, and then once the circuit is completed and the solenoid has current going to it, it turns into an electromagnet, and the electromagnet holds the bottom latch forward so that it's hooked onto the top latch and does not allow the spring that's on that lever to bring the lever back up. So, because my right copper post down there, the wire going to that right copper post was burned completely in half. When we would push the lever down, that Y-shaped plastic would push the inside posts out to make contact with the outside posts, but nothing would happen. The circuit was not completed because that wire that was supposed to hook into that far right copper post had been burnt in half. So I had to try to fix it, and I did manage to fix it. And if you want to see how I fixed it, continue watching. If you manage to keep watching this video and you get to the second part of it, I'm going to tell you why I think that wire ended up burning in half. And I think it had something to do with the Eggo waffles being stored in an older freezer that's not frost-free. And I think those waffles got frost on them. But who knows? That's just my guess as to why that wire ended up burning. So right now, if I turn this back over on its side, you can see the bottom. To get the bottom part off, you have to pry back these two things, which fasten in here, and you had to take a screw out, and that part, even before I got the screw out, this fell off. So I don't know, maybe I can glue that back on there, we'll see. But the main reason I'm taking this video is I think I'm going to have to take these wires, so just so I know how they go back together, I'm going to have to pull this one out of it, this one here out. I'm going to have to take this out of this little clamp, take this one out of this little clamp, pull this wire loose over here, pull this wire loose over here, pull this wire loose over here, take these out of the clamps, pull this wire loose here, and I guess, I don't think that's going to do me much good because it's all one continuous loop. I may have to cut that wire. Because this wire comes through his hole, but the other wire comes through this hole. Oh, I don't know, I might have to just in order to get this thing loose enough that I can have it in my hand and work on it. Maybe I just maybe I don't need to pull those wires all the way through. Maybe I just need to pull them up as far as they can go so that I can work on this. Anyway, I got to know where they got to fasten back, and hopefully this video will help me get them fastened back the way they're supposed to. So I guess that's the next step. Try to free up those wires so that I can pull this thing out far enough to see if I can actually fix that, where that wire burnt. I'm going to put it on pause, or stop it. So I've paused the video again here because I want to show you that white plastic piece that has 4 posts sticking out of it. You can't see them, but they're pointing down now because I have the whole toaster turned upside down. And then it's supposed to have 4 wires coming in from the bottom side, and you can see the 3 wires, but then the 4th wire that's burnt. And I tried using my meter, my multimeter, on continuity test, and I tried the test right there where my finger is. I put one of the probes there, and then I put the other probe on the long copper piece coming out the other side, and I could not get continuity. So I took my Dremel tool with a little grinding wheel, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. And I started grinding on that burnt black piece that's between my index finger and my thumb there. And I just kept trying to grind that blackness off, and I kept checking it for continuity, and I had no continuity. No continuity whatsoever. So I'd grind some more, and eventually I ground all of that white, somewhat white, burnt insulation off of that piece that you see between my index finger and my thumb. I actually removed all of that white insulation off of there, and it exposed a connector. I'm going to show you that connector in part 2 of this, but I just wanted you to know how I ended up discovering that connector. And it was because I just kept grinding away trying to get continuity, and I could not get continuity. At one point I was almost to give up. I was just like, okay, if there's no continuity through there, then it's never going to work. But I just kept grinding and grinding until I finally exposed the connector, which I'm going to show you in part 2. And I pried that connector off, and once I pried it off, then I could get continuity from the male part that would be between my index finger and the thumb there, and the other part of the post that sticks out the other end of the plastic. I hope that makes sense to you. So watch part 2 if you want to see what that connector looked like that I finally pried off of there. And I'll show you the new connector that I used to crimp on that burnt wire so I could connect it back onto that male part that's coming out of that white plastic piece there. And then I'm going to show you how I actually made some toast with this toaster after I fixed it. And I'm going to explain to you why I think that wire ended up burning in 2. I think some frost got onto these Egel waffles, and the frost ended up melting, and the moisture went down there and got on that wire and caused that wire to short out. And once it shorted out, it burnt in half. So all that's in part 2 if you want to see it.